Hello everyone, it is I, Benjamin Morales, aka the Wingman Max Mercury, and today I'm continuing the 2021 CWO Awards with Feud of the Year. So when it comes to Feud of the Year, in all feuds in 2021, there wasn't really one that stood among the rest as the best. For the most part, a lot of the major feuds well, at least in a lot of the major feuds that happened in 2021, I have either like small nitpicks or big issues with them. So like there was the one feud I really thought was gonna win the award, which was Justice Edge versus Chris Azure. I decided not to go with that one because it felt incomplete. I feel like it ended abruptly, and they only had one match against each other. The start of the feud was great, but I feel like since their match at SummerSlam, they went on to different directions, and the feud never really got to finish. And then there's other feuds that I feel were incomplete because they didn't start or end in 2021. Like, for instance, the ones that didn't start were Doggy Dog versus Mateo, myself versus Steph Turner, myself versus Amber. And then the ones that didn't end were like Anto versus Silver Star, which just ended at the beginning of 2022, so just barely missed the cut. And then there's other feuds like where one participant was not active for most of the feud, Like they were there for the beginning and the end, but like for the middle portion, they were absent, so it feels disconnected. Like for instance, that'd be Jenna versus Kat, and then Amy Fox versus Karma. For one, Jenna and Karma got injured at the beginning of the feuds, as a result of the feud. So like for a long period of time, they were gone, and they didn't come back till for like the end of the feud, and they both feuds had one match, and then that was it. I didn't go with Junction Damage because I felt like the build was not too strong. And I know it relies so much on their history overall, there's that. But in terms of what happened in 2021, all there was like backstage segments or face-off confrontations or individual matches against Static for some reason. And then there's Taylor Blade versus Caleb and Mercer, which I honestly don't like because of how overbooked those two women were and how it kind of pushed everyone else to the side. What else was there that I'm thinking of? There's Fermosa versus Belmorte. I personally don't really like the feud. Sorry, it's just not my cup of tea. I don't know. Maybe it's because it led to the whole OCW XWF women's division war, where like who has the better women's division, and then that kind of led to some drama and stuff, and that puts the feud in bad taste for me. I don't know. Sorry, but the feud I decided to pick may not be the best. There's like one match in the feud that I feel is not good. It has some very big problems, but I feel like the feud was very beneficial to both participants involved and to the company as a whole. So, for my pick for Feud of the Year in 2021 is Crazy Boy versus Arrow. So this feud started at Money in the Bank 2021 for CGW, where Crazy Boy had just retained his world title against Destructo, and afterwards, Mr. Matson would show up on the Titantron to announce Crazy Boy's next challenger and the newest signing, Arrow. Arrow would come out and have a face-off against Crazy Boy. And I will say, I didn't start watching CGW until after Money in the Bank. And the reason why was because of Arrow's signing. So while there were outside talent in CGW that was there from the beginning, like Chris Azure, Silver Star, Ron, and then to like the biggest extent, Alias, Arrow kind of felt like the signing that started to give CGW this widespread attention for the most part. Because it was kind of like this small unknown show that was gaining traction. But then after Arrow's signing, all eyes were on this company. And from there, it's exploded in popularity. And it has gotten better since then. So continuing with the feud. The first thing that happened was Arrow versus Death Road, who is Crazy Boy's brother, at CGW Revelations, where Arrow would beat Death Road in the main event. And then after the match, Crazy Boy would spear Arrow and not a heel turn, but just kind of escalation of tension. Escalation of tensions, you know, whatever. But we ended up getting the Crazy Boy Arrow match in the main event of SummerSlam, where Crazy Boy would beat Arrow clean. There were a lot of us who thought Arrow was probably going to win, but Crazy Boy winning was a nice surprise. You know, after the match, both men would shake hands, and, you know, Arrow would raise Crazy Boy's hand in the air, seemingly just putting this feud at a one and done. But then Crazy Boy would then suddenly turn heel, smashing Arrow's skull in with his title belt, and forming the Crazy Asylum. From there, Crazy Boy was the top heel of the company, with a gang of ruffians on his side. Can't believe he used the word ruffians. But from there, the feud continued at CWO United Champions, where Crazy Boy would retain against Mario Sanchez and Arrow, pinning Mario in the process, mind you. And then after the match, Arrow would get a measure of revenge by also head smashing Crazy Boy with his world title, you know, leading to the Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell in the main event to end the feud once and for all, in a match that I really didn't like afterwards. And my reason was because, and this issue has kind of persisted since then. And that's because there's the usage of big spots that should be the end of the match, but then the guy would just get up. And for instance, there's two instances that this happens. One is Crazy Boy power bombs Arrow from the top of the cell, goes through the announce table, and then immediately gets up. That's like Leo Rush on steroids right there. And then after that, you know, Arrow and Crazy Boy would brawl on top of the cell, and then Arrow would fall through the cell. And you're like, okay, fine, this is it, you know. And then Arrow would kick out, and it's like, okay, I can't believe this match anymore. You've lost me. And then, you know, I get it. Mankind did the same for the most part. You know, he fell off a cell and then went through the cell. But like, that man was almost dead. And Arrow was able to kind of just shake it off and keep wrestling for a little bit until he lost to like Crazy Boy's finisher. So for that reason, I really don't like the match. But to be on a more positive tone, this feud was beneficial to all parties involved because it made Crazy Boy into a true main eventer. Because prior to the Arrow feud, Crazy Boy was taking on the likes of Destructo and his brother Death Road, you know, OG CGW talent. So it was like, okay, you know, it makes sense to give yourself the belt in your own company when not many other stars are established. But then once Arrow came along, this really proved Crazy Boy's worth as a main eventer, and I feel like that succeeded in that purpose. And then you have Arrow, who, like, in the last year or two, like 2019, 2020, Arrow kind of started losing relevancy for the most part. You know, he was like at the top of his game from 2016 to 2018. And then after that, he wasn't really appearing in the main event as much, and then just less appearances in general. Mind you, Arrow's still very active in the community since then, but like, I don't know, I just feel like his time in the limelight was kind of over. But I feel like this feud kind of brought Arrow back into relevancy, at least back into like main event stuff, and you know, kind of like a revival of his career. And then for CGW as a whole, like I mentioned, this brought new eyes to the company, and from there, more big names started signing, like Antho, Johnny Extreme, Angel Alexander, and many more to come probably. So in that aspect, I can't deny the impact that this feud had. I can't deny the impact that feud had. And as such, that is why Crazy Boy vs. Arrow is Feud of the Year. Okay? So, thank fucking God. Okay, so none of you know this, but I have tried to record this video like 7 to 8 times, and I think I finally got through this. Finally. I'm keeping this in the video because I need to vent my frustrations, and I'm going to let the whole world know. So, thank you for watching this video. Leave your feedback in the comment section below. Only one award left, and that's the top 25 men of the year. And I just realized that one's probably going to be tougher than this. But bear with me. Bear with me, guys. Yeah. Sorry, I laughed just because of Bear, obviously. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.